Hope the screen is visible to you all.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Yeah. So we are starting our chapter 7, knowledge of absolute truth, right? So before getting into chapter, let us take the blessings of Shri Shri Radha Govinda and our Guru Parampara. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadadi Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta-padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatanvitam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalitam Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhasya cha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrind ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Guru Maharaj ki Jai. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarini Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadara, Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna devotees. So once again, welcome you all for this session. So a quick recap of what we learned in chapter 6. So regarding the Ashtanga Yoga. So till chapter 1 to chapter 6, we understood that we are not this body and we are spirit soul and capable of the self-realization through various yoga, isn't it? And we discussed about Sankhya Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Ashtanga Yoga. So at the end of chapter 6, we learned Mad Gatenantaratmana, that is the topmost yogi, the one who steadily concentrate his mind upon Krishna or whatever we are doing in Krishna consciousness. So such a yogi is the topmost yogi, and the process is called Bhakti Yoga, right? So let us see what we have in store for chapter 7. So as we said, this chapter till 12th is the most important in Bhagavad Gita, which talks about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Bhakti Yoga, the devotion, devotional service. So all these things is being captured here. So section 7.1 to 7.3, knowing Krishna in full by hearing about him. So different devotional services we have discussed. The first is hearing, Shravanam, is the most important of among the devotional service. Next is 7.4 to 7.12, knowing Krishna as the source of both material and spiritual energies. So we are going to cover the different energies of Supreme Lord and the source of it. We learn that Krishna is the supreme source of all these, both material as well as spiritual energy. And also we are going to touch upon the three modes are controlled by Krishna. So therefore, we have to surrender. So we are all controlled by three modes of material nature. We are materially completely contaminated and entangled in this material nature by the three modes. And that three mode, Krishna is above that three mode. So we need to surrender to break free from these three modes of material nature. And then we learn about the impious lack knowledge and never surrender to Krishna. Who are those impious people who never surrender to Krishna, and the pious people who surrender to Krishna with the knowledge of the Supreme Lord. So this we learn from 7.15 to 7.19 and 7.20 to 7.25. So others who have no knowledge, those who surrender to demigod and the Mayavadis. We are also going to touch upon this very important topic. So as I've said before, we all have come to this Krishna consciousness path by worshipping some or the other demigods. So by scriptures, if we are going to demigods for the material benefits, what such a person is known will be learned here. And 7.26 to 7.30, the bewilderment of the living entity and the freedom through knowledge. So one who remember Krishna will get freedom from material entanglement, and one who forget Krishna will be bewildered. So as I've said, this being the beginning of Bhakti Yoga, so we have at length we have discussed about Karma Yoga also, isn't it? So can somebody say what is the difference you think between Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga? Can somebody throw some light?
Karma Yoga is like, Prabhuji, it's like a balancing with material world and Krishna consciousness. Bhakti Yoga is only Krishna consciousness.
Also,
Thank you, Prabhu.
Prabhuji,
Nice attempt.
Karma Yoga is when we do some action, in wanting for any fruitive results. And Bhakti Yoga is like no, we're just pure bhakti without, we don't want anything other than bhakti.
Okay. Yeah. So the difference between Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga is Karma Yoga, what it is teaching us is to do our prescribed duty without attachment to the fruits of the results. Yeah, renunciation in actions. And Bhakti Yoga is devotion in action. So all our actions is done with the devotion that Krishna, everything is done for Krishna, right? And previously we discussed about Navavida Bhakti. So 9 limbs of devotional service, in which first one, Shravanam, is the most important. So hearing the names and pastimes of Krishna is the most important aspect for our spiritual growth. That is the very reason chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra is so important. We need to chant loudly and hear. So Krishna enters through our ears and resides in our heart, is what it is said. So hearing is very, very important. So the first lesson Krishna is telling Arjuna in chapter 7 is to start hearing about all these devotional services. Yeah. So now let us move on. So some of the snapshots has been captured here. So chapter 6, the yogi who always think of him as the best of yogis. The chapter 6 ends by discussing about the topmost yogi who always think of Krishna in devotion and concentrate on him in full faith. So this is very, very important. The Shravanam is important. And secondly, Shraddha Sadhu Sangha. In Shraddha, the first comes is faith. With faith only, our heart melts to understand all this knowledge as it is. Otherwise, we continue to end up with our own mental speculations. So faith is very, very important. And chapter 7, the knowledge of absolute truth begins with the process of hearing, and all the 6 sections we discussed here is been captured here. So the section 1, sloka 7.1 to 7.3, knowing Krishna in full by hearing about him. The first sloka for the day. So somebody wish to take up?
Shall I, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhu.
Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Maya Shakta Manapartha Yogam Yajanam Mada Ashraya Asmashram Shravanam Mama Yata Jana Shri Churya. Hare Krishna.
So English meaning also you may read, Prabhu.
Now here, O son of Partha Arjuna, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free about doubt. Hare Krishna.
Yes, thank you, Prabhu. So we are all so fortunate we are here at this point where we are going to start Bhakti Yoga chapter. So this chapter discuss about Krishna consciousness in full. We all know Krishna is full in the opulences, and how he manifests such opulences is described in this chapter. So anybody remember the 6 opulences of Krishna?
All beauty, all fame, renunciation, strength. I can't remember the rest, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So I had given easy way to remember these 6 opulences. These 6 opulences is there in Krishna's name itself. So K for all knowledge, R for richness, I for influence, the fame, S for strength, H for handsome is the most beautiful, and NA is for renunciation, not attached. Yeah. So these are the full 6 opulences. That is why Krishna is known as Bhagavan. And this chapter also discuss about the 4 kind of fortunate people who become attached to Krishna, and 4 kind of unfortunate people who never takes up Krishna consciousness will be discussed here. And we also understand with all the yogas, karma yoga, jnana yoga, ashtanga yoga, one may realize the Brahman feature or the Paramatma feature. In ashtanga yoga, in the heart of the yogi, he sees the Paramatma feature. So only by bhakti, only by devotional service, we get to know the Bhagavan feature, Satchidananda feature of the Supreme Lord. So that is one of the very important aspect we are going to learn here. So hence, one should concentrate his mind by engaging in devotional service. So all the activities what we are doing, we are always thinking about Krishna, how we can serve Krishna through various devotional service, the Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. So through all these things, we are trying to focus our mind at the lotus feet of Supreme Lord. So this way, we will rise in our spiritual realization and devotional service to Supreme Lord. So the same thing is been discussed here in this chapter. How to know him by the process of hearing. So Lord Krishna is the absolute truth, the supreme personality of Godhead. And the living entity is not this body, but the spirit soul. And through different yogas, this soul is capable to elevate his self-realization. Right? Through Jnana Yoga, one realizes the Brahman feature, Ashtanga Yoga, the Paramatma feature, and only by Bhakti Yoga, we get to associate with the Supreme Lord. Right? Further, the different stages is been discussed here by concentrating mind on Krishna. So one will take up different process, 9 process of devotional service, starting with hearing, and by constant hearing, the heart starts purifies. Yeah. So as I've said, the chanting is the best way to purify our anarthas, to make our heart soft to accept all this knowledge about the Supreme Lord. When the knowledge is there, then you rise in your the realization. With the realization, you get fixed up in devotional service and free from all the modes of material nature as well as all the anarthas inside, the ignorance, the lust and greed, anger, all these things, all the impurities get wiped off, and then becomes enlivened in devotional service and understand the signs of Krishna perfectly. And with that, we get the complete knowledge of Supreme Lord. So this is the process we will be discussing in detail further. So chapter 7.2, somebody can take up.
May I, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji. So anybody can volunteer and take it up.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Jnanam teham savijnanam idam vakshamya sheshataha yaj gnatva neha bhuyo nyaj gnatvyam avaishishyate. I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous, by knowing which there shall remain nothing further to be known. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mataji. So here, Krishna is saying, I want to give you the both phenomenal as well as numinous knowledge. So phenomenal knowledge refers to things as it appears to us. So to our senses, we all know our senses are limited, our senses are imperfect. So whatever such knowledge is phenomenal, and numinous is as it is. So for example, sun. At this point, we are not seeing sun. So with our limited knowledge, we think there is no sun. But in reality, sun is there. So that is numinous knowledge. So Jnana and Vijnana. Jnana is theoretical. Vijnana is the realization, what we get out of it. So Lord Krishna want to give this knowledge to Arjuna because he is devotee as well as he is the dear friend of Krishna. So the complete knowledge can be achieved only by the devotee of the Lord. Yeah. So first, with faith, we have to surrender to Krishna. Only then all this knowledge we can understand. So all this knowledge, the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, all these things are known as revealed scriptures. So this will reveal by the mercy of Krishna, as well as we taking shelter of our Guru Parampara and in association of devotees, when we try to discuss Shravanam Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. Yeah. So by doing that, we understand this absolute knowledge of Krishna. So therefore it says one should be intelligent enough to know the source of all knowledge. The cause of all causes is the Supreme Lord. As it is said in Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Nadir Radir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. So Krishna is the source of everything. So with this knowledge, we will be able to understand the absolute truth, the science of absolute truth better. So the same thing is been captured through the flowchart here. So the phenomenal knowledge as well as numinous knowledge. So phenomenal knowledge is acquired by our senses, and numinous is the spiritual, Vijnanam, knowledge about the spirit. And both spiritual as well as material, both are controlled by Krishna, is what we need to understand. And one need to be devotee of Krishna and friend of Krishna. Favorable service we need to give. Yeah, Anya Bilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavritam Anukulasya Krishnanusilanam. Anukulasya is very, very important. Even demons like Kamsa, Shishupal, they were always thinking about Krishna, isn't it? But they were not favorable. So that is very, very important. We need to understand here.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
So with this, Krishna is the controller of everything. I have one shloka in Vishnu Sahasranam, first shloka. Vishwam Vishnu Vashatkaram. It's like it means Krishna is the world, Krishna is the cause, and Krishna is the controller. That's why.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, thank you for adding this point. So all we need to understand is the Supreme Lord. He is the supreme controller, supreme maintainer, supreme friend of all the living entity. Bhoktaram Yagnatapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram Surdam Sarva Bhutanam Yatvamam Shantim Rachati. With this understanding, we get peace. That is the peace formula. Free from all the material entanglement, and understanding our constitutional position is also important. What is our constitutional position? Is being the servitor of the Supreme Lord. The dharma of the soul is to serve the Supreme Lord and engage in service of the Supreme Lord in some or the other way. So that way we can go back to Godhead. Yeah. Now moving further, 7.3. Somebody can take up. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
Manusyanam sahasresu kaschid yatati siddhaye yatataamapi siddhanam kaschimam beti tattvataha.
Yes.
Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. So this again is very, very important shloka. Practically, we can see in our classes as well. So when we see in level 1, by coming to level 1 itself is a great blessings of Krishna. Yeah, how many are coming to level 1, taking up, registering to these online courses and trying to understand Krishna? So here in this sloka, it is clearly said, many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, isn't it? And of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. So it is not very easy. The Mayavadis think Bhakti Yoga is very, very easy, but it is very, very difficult. The forces of Maya is so strong. When we want to be serious in our devotional service, there are so many excuses. We will find Saturday 7 p.m. 10 minutes before the class, we will find so many excuses not to come. And it looks very genuine also. That is how Maya plays with us. And one who is determined to associate with devotees, listen to the pastimes of Krishna, try to understand the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, and steadily chant, hear, associate with devotees, engage in some devotional service, and by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, only such very, very fortunate souls will progress back and go back to Godhead. Knowing this, Krishna has written this, said this millions and millions of years back itself. And in Bhagavad Gita, 5,000 years back, it is written that this is what the people are going to be. And having this knowledge today, we should be determined enough to continue, irrespective of all other excuses. If you want to continue, there are thousands of excuses. But if you want to continue, then there is only one thing, that you have to take that action. To please Krishna is not by words, but by our actions. So that is very, very important knowledge we get from this sloka. Yeah. So some of these has been already discussed here. So there are among different grade of men and women, most of them, as we progress through our sloka, it says 99% people are interested in animal propensities. So 4 things: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. This is what most of us are doing, and this is what all the animals doing there. So why are we working so hard for these things? The efforts what we need to put is to rise in our transcendental knowledge that we are not this soul. Sorry, we are not this body, we are spirit soul. We are the part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Yeah. So we have to put our effort in this. And even our material senses do not appreciate the Nama, Rupa, Guna, Leela of Krishna. As it said, Ata Shri Krishna Namadi na braved grayam indriyaha sevan mukena jivvado swayam eva spurati ada. So naturally our material senses do not appreciate. So what we need to do? By sevan mukena jivvado. So the tongue we need to use to chant the holy names, to speak the glories of Krishna and honor prasadam. So with this, gradually we get free from these material entanglements and rise in our spiritual consciousness. And also there is a beautiful sloka in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.101. It says, Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatra Vidhim Vina Aikantiki Harer Bhaktir Utpatyaiva Kalpate. So what it is saying is the devotional service of the Lord that ignores all these Vedic scriptures like Upanishad, Puranas, Narada Pancharatras. It is just a simple disturbance to the society. So many people will learn Veda, but without their realization that the Supreme Lord, Krishna, we need to understand everything from this Veda is Krishna is the Supreme Lord, and our constitutional position is to serve the Krishna and engage in devotional service. If one is not doing this, then it is a simple disturbance to the society. What Prabhupada says in his purport. So now we are moving to the next section B, verse 7.4 to 7.12. This talks about the knowing Krishna as the source of both material as well as spiritual energies. So sloka 7.4 and 7.5. So somebody can take up, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, may I?
Yes, Mataji.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhumirapo Nalavayuhu Khangmano Bodhireva cha Ahankara iti angme bhinna prakriti rastada Apareyamiti stanvang prakriti vidhi me param Jiva bhutang mahabaho jayedang dharyate jagat. Meaning, earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego are all together. These 8 constitute my separated material energies. Besides these, O mighty Arjun, there is another superior energy of mine, which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mataji. So here we are trying to understand the different energies of the Supreme Lord. The one, the material energy, yeah, earth, water, fire, air, ether, yeah, mind are the gross material energy, and the subtle energy is mind, intelligence, and false ego. So these are the separated material energy. And one more important thing is the superior energy also it is said here. And Krishna is saying the living entities, we come under the superior energy. The soul is the superior energy, whereas this body is the material energy. This body is made of Panchabhuta, earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And very important point we need to understand here is Krishna says this living entity who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior energy. So we want to lord over this material energy. So that is why we are getting beaten up by the material modes of nature. So more we want to enjoy this material energy, more we want to exploit this material energy, more we get entangled in this material world. So here it is said that all the 8 material energies is been discussed. So the planetary expansion is also being discussed. 3 Purusha incarnations is been discussed. Karnodakashayi Vishnu, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, Shirodakashayi Vishnu. So I'm sure in level 1 you have seen the Goloka chart. In that expansions are very detailedly explained. So I will briefly touch upon that expansion. You may make note of this. So from Krishna, the expansion, the Balaram as well as Srimati Radharani expands. And from Balaram, there are 4 expansion comes out. That is Sankarshana, Aniruddha, Pradyumna, and Vasudeva. And from Sankarshana, Narayana expands. From Narayana, again 4 expansion will happen. That is Sankarshana, Aniruddha, Pradyumna, and Vasudeva. Again, same 4 expansion will happen from Narayana. And from Sankarshana, here the Karanodakashayi Vishnu, the Mahavishnu expands, right? So from the Mahavishnu, the entire it creates the total material energy. The Mahatattva comes up. So as we have said before, Akhilanda Koti Brahmanda Nayaka, Mahavishnu is the Akhilanda Koti Brahmanda is coming out of Mahavishnu. And the Garbhodakashayi Vishnu enters into each Brahmanda. So the Brahma, all the demigods are there in each individual Brahmanda. But the Mahavishnu is Akhilanda Koti Brahmanda Nayaka. So the Brahma is the secondary creator of one Brahmanda, whereas Mahavishnu is the primary creator. So source of all source, cause of all causes. That is how Brahma, after doing tapas for many thousands of years, he writes Krishna is the Parama Ishvara. And then Kshirodakashayi Vishnu. Kshirodakashayi Vishnu is the Paramatma who enters every living entity into the heart of the every living entity. So we have discussed this before. Krishna sitting in us as the Paramatma, one who is not surrendered to the Krishna, he sees, his role is to be the witness. So every activity we are doing, he witnessed everything. At the same time, a devotee who has surrendered to Krishna, he will be the guiding force from within, and he will take us back to the Godhead. Right? And then we discuss about the material energies. In this, a brief touch I will do is 24 field of activities of material nature. So starting with 5 gross element. So this also you may make a note that earth, water, fire, air and ether is the 5 gross element, and mind, intelligence and false ego is the subtle material energy. And then there is 5 knowledge acquiring senses. So the eyes, nose, ears, tongue and the skin. These are the 5 knowledge acquiring senses. And the 5 working senses are the legs, hands, voice, anus and genitals. And these are 10 senses, and there is also 11th sense. Once again, it is mind, the inner sense within. And there is 5 sense objects: the smell, taste, sound, touch and form. So all put together, it forms the 24 field of activities of this material nature. So all the activities in the material nature is happening through these interactions with this 24 field of activities. So moving to Shloka 7.6. So somebody can take up.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Itat yoni bhutani sarvani upadhyaya aham krishnasya jagatam prabhava pralas tatha. Translation: all created beings have their source in these two nature of all that is material and all that is spiritual in this world. Know for certain that I am the origin and the dissolution.
Yes, thank you, Mataji. So from this sloka, we understand everything in this world is either material or spiritual, and the matter is created by the spirit. So only because of the presence of spirit soul within our body, this body grows from childhood to youth to the old age, isn't it? Similarly, the entire world, the cosmic manifestation, is functioning because of the presence of the super soul, that is Sri Vishnu. This is very important thing we understand from this. And besides inferior energy, Lord Krishna's superior energy. So this is talking about living entities. So there are 3 things here. One is the superior energy, which is known as Antaranga Shakti. And the exterior energy, the material energy, is known as Bahiranga Shakti. And we are in the middle. We are known as marginal energy, Tatastha Shakti. So anybody can just have a wild guess why we are known as the marginal energies? We are superior, but we are
have
marginal.
both soul and body is made up of matter, Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji, that's a good attempt. And also the choice what we have, yeah, the free will what we have. We can choose to serve Maya, the matter, or we can choose to serve the Supreme Lord. So we can fall down from our existing constitutional position. We can fall down or we can rise in our spiritual realization. So we are known as the marginal energy of the Supreme Lord. And what this soul, the jiva, is doing is exploiting the material world as in a conditioned state. And liberation is free from this material illusion, the false ego, I, mine. So when we rise from all these false ego, then we are qualified for liberation from these material entanglements. So moving further, 7.7, very nice shloka, somebody can take up.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
मतः परतरं नान्यत् किञ्चिदस्ति धनञ्जय मयि सर्वमिदं प्रोक्तं श्रुते पणिगणा इव. O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on the string. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. So through this shloka, one thing which it clearly clarifies is there is always a confusion whether Krishna is impersonal or personal. So this shloka emphasizes that Krishna is personal, the absolute truth, and he is the person. And he, with his energies, he is pervading through all the material as well as spiritual element in this world as a pearls are strung on a thread. So 7.8, somebody can read.
Hare Krishna. Rasoham pasu kaunteyo prabhasmi sasi suryayo pranabo sarva desu sabda khe purusang rusu. O son of Kunti, I am the taste of water, the light of the sun and the moon, the syllable of Om in the Vedic mantras. I am the sound in ether and ability in the man. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. So these are all the strength of Krishna is been very nicely being explained here. So this verse explains how the Lord is all pervasive by his divine material as well as spiritual energies. Everywhere Krishna is present. So there is no one of us would like to drink the sea water, isn't it? It is very salty. So why do the thirst is quenched by the purity of the water. And here Krishna says the purity of that water is me. Yeah. So how many of us try to realize whenever we are drinking the water that is rising in our Krishna consciousness? Even the taste of water is Krishna. Yeah. Devotees glorifies Krishna is supplying that tasty water to quench our thirst. So only devotees has that gratitude to understand the all-pervasive nature of the Supreme Lord. The light of the sun and the moon, it is coming from Brahma Jyoti. And impersonalists, the Mayavadis, do not like to take the name of Krishna. So in all their practices, they chant Om. So we need to understand here, Krishna says, in all the Vedic mantras, the Om, I am the Om, the Pranava. Yeah. So one who knows Krishna consciousness is blessed. So those who do not know Krishna, they are in illusion. That is what we understand. So one of my friend recently, he was telling me, there is no name of Krishna in Vedas. So here in Bhagavad Gita, one who has read Bhagavad Gita under the proper guidance, under the bona fide Guru Shishya Parampara, who he will understand every Vedic mantra starts from Om, and that Om itself is Krishna. Yeah. So that again, as I've said, if you are with your mental speculation, you will never realize. So when you surrender with faith, only then all this knowledge will be revealed to us. So 7.9, somebody can take up.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Punyo gandha prithibhya cha tejas chasmin vibhavaso jivanang sarva bhutesu tapaschasmi tapasvisu. Hare Krishna. The original fragrance of I am the original fragrance of the earth, and I am the heat in the fire. I am the life of all that lives, and I am the penaces of the ascetics.
Yes. Thank you, Prabhu. So with this, we need to understand Krishna is everywhere, all pervasive. Everything in the material world has some flavor or fragrance, isn't it? So Krishna is saying, I am the flavor and fragrance of earth, water, fire, air, everywhere is there. The original flavor, which is pre-emanating from all these things, is Krishna. And second important aspect Krishna is saying here is Vibhavasu, which means fire. So all the factories, every factory today, or even in our house, without fire, we can't cook, isn't it? So Krishna says the fire, the heat in the fire is me. And as per the Vedic Ayurveda, it says for the indigestion, we need to have fire in our stomach, isn't it? So only by the temperature and the fire, the food gets digested, and because of that fire himself is Krishna. So all our health, all our digestion, everything is happening because the mercy of Krishna in the form of fire. So somebody else can also try this sloka 7.10.
May I go ahead, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Bijam mam sarva bhutanam viddhi partha sanatanam buddhir buddhimatam asmi tejas tejas vinamaham. Translation: O son of Pratha, know that I am the original seed of all existences, the intelligence of the intelligent, and the prowess of all powerful men. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. So here Krishna is saying Bija Mam Sarva Bhutanam. That is, Krishna is the seed-giving father of all the living entities. There are 8.4 million species, and Krishna is the father of all the living entities. Yeah, one of the philosophical reason. In fact, before coming into Krishna consciousness, I was too fond of eating meat, and one of the reason which strike me by listening to one of the devotee, he gave this beautiful example. I have 2 kids. If somebody slaps my kids in front of me, how am I going to react? Or how you all going to react? In front of you, somebody slaps your kids. Yeah, definitely you are going to react very wildly, isn't it? We are killing the children of Krishna for our own sense enjoyment. Yeah, this hit me very hard.
Yes, Prabhuji.
And that way, by gradual regulation, by God's mercy, more than 2 years now, I have completely, not only me, my entire family, completely we have stopped eating meat. And second important thing we understand from this sloka is the source of everything. He is the root. Root maintenance the whole tree, isn't it? Similarly, Krishna being the original root of this material manifestation, he is maintaining everything. So we need not have to endeavor too much for our material gains. When we surrender to Krishna, whatever we deserve, Krishna gives us. And from previous chapters, there is always this statement leads to people have said that when Krishna maintains everything, why I need to work? So Krishna also says in Karma Yoga, you need to work. You need to do your prescribed duty, but you should not be attached to the fruits, either bad or good. You are not attached to the fruits of your actions. So our consciousness is whatever work we are doing, we see as a mercy of Krishna, and we do it for Krishna. When we are working for Krishna, our commitment, our determination, our loyalty only increases. By that increase, by bhakti, you will always come out as the best part of yourself. So you are working as a professional. When you work as a service to Krishna, you will always do your best. Similarly, in our relationship, this example I have given before. So whatever we are doing as an husband, as a father, as a son, we see Krishna, Pandita Samadarshinaha, we see Krishna residing as Paramatma in every living entity, not only within the family, even outside the family, with our neighbors, in the society. So that is why Prabhupada always says Krishna consciousness movement is the best social service we can offer. So moving further, it is said in Katha Upanishad, Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam. So Krishna is the prime eternal among all the eternals. We are the soul, we are eternal, and Krishna is the super soul. He is the supreme living entity, is the supreme Lord. And Krishna is the intelligence of the intelligent. So all those intelligent people, the Krishna is the intelligence of those people. Krishna gives us the knowledge, the remembrance, and the intelligence. So other day I was just having a realization, thought of sharing with you. So as a team leader, I support my team because I understand their success is my success. Yeah, I go out of my way to support them. So when we are serving for Prabhupada, so when we are serving for Krishna, so why should we worry about our future? Why should we have that anxiety? Isn't it? So Krishna and Guru Parampara, they always take care of us. And he is the prowess of the powerful. So these are all a great understanding. We need to know the knowledge, the realization. We need to understand the strength, the power of Krishna is been very well explained through these verses here. So 7.11, somebody can take up.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Balam Balavatam Chisham Kama Raga Vivarjitam Darvadamadayo Bhuteshu Kamu Sami Bharatarsha Sabha. Translation: I am the strength of strong, devoid of passion and desire. I am sex life, which is not contrary to religious principles, O Lord of Bharata Arjuna. Hare Krishna.
So here, a very important concept we are learning, philosophy we are learning is the strong man's strength. Yeah, is Krishna, and that strength is not to be used to oppress the weak person, isn't it? It should be used to protect such a person. Similarly, the sex life is being discussed here as, according to religious principle, dharma should be for begetting the Krishna consciousness children and not for our sense enjoyment. And the responsibility of parents is to make the kids Krishna consciousness. So the best way to preach Krishna consciousness to our family is by our own practices. Many times we listen that I am practicing Krishna consciousness, but my family is not supporting, or they are not following, my kids are not following. So you need not have to force Krishna consciousness on them. You have to inspire them with your practices. When you are strong in your sadhana, and with all this knowledge, when we transform, with the transformation, they will also realize, yes, I can see a change, I can see a positive change. By seeing that, all our family as well as friends will also transform and take up Krishna consciousness. So different opulences of Krishna is being discussed here. The taste of water is Krishna. The light of moon and sun is Krishna. The Om of all the Vedic mantras is Krishna. The sound in ether is Krishna. The ability of a man is Krishna. The fragrance of the earth is Krishna. The heat in the fire is Krishna. All that lives, the soul, the life is Krishna. All that existence, as said, the seed-giving father is Krishna. The intelligence of intelligent is Krishna. The prowess of the powerful person is Krishna. The strength of the strong is Krishna. The sex life, not contrary to the religious principle, to beget the Krishna consciousness progeny. So that is Krishna. What we learn from this.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, even I want to add one thing: time, past, present, and future also Krishna.
Sorry, Prabhu, your voice was a bit feeble.
Sorry, time is also Krishna.
Yes.
Past, present,
yes.
Past, present, and future also Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu. That is also will be covered in further chapters. So Krishna says, Aham kalosmi.
Yes, Prabhu.
We say we don't have time to chant our minimum 16 rounds, isn't it?
Exactly.
But when you give that 1.5 hours or 2 hours to Krishna, rest 22 hours, Krishna gets the best out of you.
Exactly.
And normally the time what you take for any particular task with your intelligence, you can do much more efficiently. Many times going into meetings, in flights, in taxis, I prepare for Bhagavad Gita classes. But when I have seen, just an example, it could be a thing, whenever I have gone for many such meetings, previously with my efforts, my endeavors, some negotiations, some deals which used to take 4 to 5 meetings, miraculously in one meeting, many things, it has been taken care. So when we dedicate the time in the service of Krishna, Krishna will also take care of us. So somebody can take up this sloka.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. ये चैव सात्विका भावा राजसास्तामसाश्च ये मत्त एवेति तन्विद्धिन्न त्वहं तेषु ते मयि. Know that all states of being, be they of goodness, passion, and ignorance, are manifested by my energy. I am in one sense everything, but I am independent. I am not under the modes of material nature, for they, on the contrary, are within me. Hare Krishna.
Yes, thank you, Mataji. So here, the 3 modes of material nature is going to be discussed in detail now. So all the material activities in this world are being conducted under the influence of 3 modes of material nature. But here we need to understand all these 3 modes of material nature is the inferior energy of Krishna. So Krishna is not influenced. Krishna is above these 3 modes of material nature. All other living entities, including the demigods, are under the modes of material nature. So only way to break free from these material modes of nature is by Vishnu Aradhanam. So as Shiva says to Parvati, Aradhanam Sarvesham Vishnu Aradhanam Param. So only way we can deliver is by taking the shelter of Krishna, the Vishnu. And Krishna is also known as Nirguna, not affected by the modes of material nature. So as I've said, all the activities in the material world is under the influence of modes of nature, and these modes are emanating from the Supreme Lord. And Krishna is not subordinate to them. Just like an analogy Prabhupada gives, that as a king, he is above the law of his kingdom. Similarly, Krishna is also above these 3 modes of material nature. So the next section is the 3 modes are controlled by Krishna. Therefore, surrender to Krishna. So next two more slokas we will touch upon, and then we will end this session. So somebody can take up this sloka.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
त्रिभि गुणमयैर्भावै रेभि सर्वमिदं जगत् मोहितं नाभिजानाति मामेभ्यं परमव्ययम्. Deluded by the three modes within bracket God, goodness, passion, and ignorance, bracket ends, the whole world doesn't know me, who am above the modes and inexhaustible.
Yes. Thank you, Prabhu. So as we discussed, every living entity under the influence of material modes of nature, it takes a particular type of body. Yeah. So in Varnashrama system, we discussed about Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. So here, the Brahmanas are known to be in the mode of goodness, and Kshatriyas are in the mode of passion. Vaishyas are mix of both passion as well as ignorance, and Shudras are completely in ignorance. So we need to understand these designations are not permanent because this body itself is temporary. So all the human beings, as said, all the human beings, demigods, animals, and each and every one of them are under these modes of material nature. And only by Krishna consciousness, only by pure devotional service, one can transcend above these modes of material nature. Yeah, this is very, very important knowledge we need to understand. And this again is a beautiful sloka, last sloka for the day. But you can take up.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Devi Vaishya Gunamayi Mama Maya Durattvaya Mami Bhaje Prapadyante Maya Metang Tarantiti. This divine energy of mine, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. Hare Krishna.
Yes. Thank you, Mataji. So the three modes of material nature, Krishna himself is declaring, it is very, very difficult to overcome. But one who has taken the shelter of the Supreme Lord, one who has taken the shelter of our Guru Parampara and engaging in devotional service, for them, there is a chance of breaking free from this material energy. So the living entity, they are known as Nitya Baddha. Nitya Baddha is eternally bounded. We have taken millions and millions and millions of birth. We are eternally bounded. And this is our chance. By mercy of Krishna, we said, we learned before, Shloka 7.3, where thousands and thousands of people who endeavor, one come to the knowledge of perfection, and from that one, thousands among one who get that perfection, will one knows about the Krishna. By mercy, purely by mercy of Krishna and devotees and Guru Parampara, we have come to this platform and talking about Krishna being the Supreme Lord. Yeah, and this is the best opportunity for us to break free from this material entanglement by understanding our constitutional position. Yeah, on our own endeavor, definitely Maya is going to beat us very, very hard. Alone, I cannot take up Bhagavad Gita book and read Bhagavad Gita and understand everything. In association of devotees, by understanding the knowledge through the Guru Shishya Parampara, only then we will be able to rise. And the guna as rope, it says that only Krishna or his bona fide representative can rescue us. Devotional service is the only hope. And Krishna, out of parental affection, Krishna being the seed-giving father of all the living entities, he orders, when we are serious, our desire is to go back to Godhead, our desire is to serve Krishna, then Krishna will order the Maya Devi to relieve this conditioned soul. Otherwise, on our own endeavor, it is very, very difficult, but it is very easy by surrendering, is what it is said. Mam eva ye prapadyante. Only by surrendering to Krishna, the master, Krishna or Vishnu, the master of Maya, we can get free from this material entanglement. So with this, I will come to end of today's session. Hope the attendance is already been posted in the group.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
marked.
you all have marked your attendance. So any quick questions we can take? Any realizations?
Prabhuji, I have one
Discuss?
realization.
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, actually, before coming to level 1 of Bhagavad Gita course, so I was very alcoholic person. So even though I go to the rehabilitation center, it was not controlled. My sister told me to take up this Krishna consciousness. As soon as I take, craving also gone, and all my 18 doubts cleared in each and every chapter. That is a very wonderful thing, and I'm now working with alcohol and everything.
That is the beauty of this devotional service. That is the beauty of chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Even craving also I am not getting by. Before that, I used to pray demigods and Ganesha and everything. So now, automatically my doubts are clear.
Correct.
In each and every chapter, automatically.
Yeah. So tomorrow morning we are going to discuss very important topic on worshipping demigods and what should be our consciousness while worshipping demigods. Everything has been very nicely captured. So tomorrow morning we'll meet up again. So 9 o'clock. So looking forward to meet you all. Thanks for
Prabhuji,
yes, Mataji.
I have a quick question, if that's okay.
Yes, Mataji, please.
Can you please quickly summarize on the types of yoga, Prabhuji, like the Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, the Ashtanga Yoga, Karma Sannyasa Yoga, yes. And from the beginning, Prabhuji. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. So quickly, I will touch upon. So we started with the Sankhya Yoga, which is analytical study of the matter and the soul. And we realize that we are not this body. We are the spirit soul. And then we move to the Karma Yoga section, where first we understand the Karma Kanda, where most of us are started with Karma Kanda. We go to temples, but we go to temples. My own example, as I've told before, I used to go to temple like I visit a shopping complex. I go with a big list of my demands and I offer some puja and something like that. And then I tell to the God that please deliver everything before I reach home. That was my condition. From there, we realize we have to rise, and we discussed about Nishkama Karma Yoga. So in Nishkama Karma Yoga, Krishna says you have to continue to do your prescribed duties without expectations of the fruits of those actions. So that way we understood the Karma Yoga, connecting our karma to the Supreme Lord. And then we discussed about Jnana Yoga. So in Jnana Yoga, we realized the Supreme Lord. Who is the Supreme Lord? Krishna is the Supreme Lord. And our constitutional position being, we are the spirit soul, part and parcel of Krishna. And what is the purpose of this soul? The soul, the dharma of the soul. We gave a beautiful example. Prabhupada gives a beautiful example. When you take out sweetness from the sugar, you will no more say it is sugar, isn't it? The saltness from the salt, it is no more, it is salt. So what is the dharma? What is the characteristics of a soul? The characteristic of soul, the dharma of soul is to serve. Now it is up to us. Krishna has given that independence to us, the free will to us to choose whom I am going to serve. Whether I am serving Maya or I am serving Krishna. So with this knowledge, the Ashtanga yogis, with this knowledge, they go to secluded place and they do this Ashtanga Yoga, fixing their mind, regulating the senses. They fix the Paramatma feature and do dhyana. And through all these things, one rise to the final thing, the topmost yogi is one who is engaging in devotional service. And we also, these are different yoga ladder to our self-realization. But by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, the sacrifices what Srila Prabhupada has done through his preaching efforts, we are fortunate enough to taking up Bhakti Yoga, right? Maybe we have come to this path by our efforts of millions and millions of birth. Through this, we have reached to this level. Now, with the sadhana bhakti, with chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, ABCD of Bhakti we discussed before. So associating with the devotees, reading Srila Prabhupada books, chanting of holy names, and honoring Prasad, we will rise further in our Bhakti Yoga. So this is the brief progression from Sankhya Yoga to Bhakti Yoga. And from here, we will further progress in our devotional understanding of our devotional services. Right, Mataji? Hope this gave
Thank
you
you. Perfect.
Very nice.
No, very, very clear explanation.
Very, very nice.
Yeah, thank you. It was like a summary of all the chapters we studied so far. So thanks a lot.
Thank you. And I appreciate your time. Continue to please take out your time with this association. It is very, very important for both of us. I also learn a lot by such discussions, and it is helping both of us, and both of us can progress in our spiritual journey. So with this, I'll come to end of our session today. Vancha kalpatarubhasya cha kripa sindubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrind ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam to all. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat.